What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another video. Welcome in. Today we're talking about the Week 14 Thursday Night Showdown game between the Rams and the New England Patriots. Excited to get into it. I've got a lot of great ideas here. We should be seeing some easy money tonight, and ladies and gentlemen, let's just take a moment of silence for the fact your boy is going for four in a row. Okay? 4 wins in a row, just like that. After such a struggle season I've had in the beginning, it wasn't too bad. It was kind of normal in the beginning, and then boom, all of a sudden it just started going haywire. Things were not as normal, and it's been a rough season this year, plain and simple, for most people. And I'm not ashamed to admit that it is what it is. I mean, I have a lot of people who use Greenlight DFS. I have a lot of people who know me who know I'm straight up about wins and losses. I don't hide anything. Most of the season this year has been a struggle for your boy. But one bright spot all season has been showdowns, and I'm going for my fourth win in a row on this showdown, and I expect it to be a big one. So let's get straight into it. Let's go ahead and break this down. As you guys know, on the showdowns, I don't build an entire showdown lineup. If you want to do that, you go to greenlightdfs.com and join the squad for Week 14. By the way, I'm doing something new this week. I'm going to be at the end of the week, probably Monday night. I'm going to go through the Greenlight DFS members who have joined up for Week 14, and I'm going to choose 3 random members to get $50 a piece just for rolling with your boy. And I appreciate y'all. Now that I got things flowing back on the right track, I want to appreciate you guys for sticking around, and riding with your boy. So, anyway, yeah, I'm going to be doing that, so stay tuned for that announcement. Now, let's go ahead and get straight into this. Starting off at captain, who do we want at captain here? Now, let's take a look. We have Jared Goff at 16.5, Cam Newton 15.9, Cooper Kupp 14.4, Robert Woods 13.8, What if I just went through the whole slate like that? And that's all I did. So Jared Goff 16.5. Now, my favorite builds, yeah, and yes, I already have a bunch of builds that I've worked on so far. My favorite Bills have not had Jared Goff at captain. I'm just going to be straight up with you. Or Cam Newton. Cam Newton and Jared Goff have not shown up in captain in all of my favorite builds. Literally none of them. The people who have, though, Cooper Kupp has been in a good bit. Let me explain to you why. Okay? So let's look at this New England secondary, all right? Let's break it down. J.C. Jackson and Stefan Gilmore are New England's perimeter cornerbacks, okay? They are going to be facing off with Josh Reynolds and Robert Woods. What does that mean? That means Cooper Kupp, predominantly out of the slot, is going to be seeing Jonathan Jones, which is a heavenly matchup. Jonathan Jones gets targeted 26% of the time, compared to J.C. Jackson only getting targeted 19 and Stefan Gilmore only getting targeted 19. Okay, Gilmore's given up 0.3 fantasy points per route ran, same as J.C. Jackson. But Jonathan Jones has given up 0.45, almost half a fantasy point per route ran. Okay? So at the end of the day, you've got some really good perimeter cornerbacks for New England out there. That is going to open up Kupp. Kupp is going to have a huge game. People have come to me and made the comment, do you think Stefan Gilmore is going to follow Kupp? Like, is Gilmore going to be fun? No. Gilmore's not going to go to the slot and follow Kupp around all game. And if he does, that's stupid. Okay, you have guys like Robert. So most likely, if I had to guess, if Stefan Gilmore is going to be on somebody the most, I would most likely expect him to be on Robert Woods the most. Seeing Robert Woods runs most of his routes on the right side, and that's where predominantly Stefan Gilmore will be, with J.C. Jackson being on the other side against Josh Reynolds most of the time. All right. So with that being said, that is the exact reason why I love Cooper Kupp. New England's perimeter corners are really, really good. Kupp happens to run in the slot. Love it. Okay. On top of that, New England has given up a good bit of passing yards this year. So they are healthier than they've been most of the year. The New England defense is getting healthier, and they've been playing a lot better. But at the end of the day, Cooper Kupp's going to have a great game at 14-4. I'm fine with him at captain, or you could spend down. It does not matter to me. I do like Kupp at captain a lot, though. Let's look at some other options. Robert Woods. So with that being said, the other receivers, Robert Woods and Josh Reynolds, I don't have much interest in them, especially with Robert Woods almost being up there with Cooper Kupp's price and dealing with a cornerback like Stefan Gilmore. Stefan Gilmore is a very, very good cornerback. Him and J.C. Jackson are both really solid, okay? Now, out of the two, if I was a quarterback and had to choose one to pick on, it would be J.C. Jackson because Stefan Gilmore's just a beast, okay? But either way, Robert Woods and Josh Reynolds aren't going to be guys that I have a ton of exposure to just because Reynolds is 8'4", Robert Woods is 13'8". Like, these guys are expensive at captain. Okay, now if you look at the flex, Robert Woods is 9'2", Josh Reynolds is 5'6". If I had to choose one, I would say Josh Reynolds just because he's much cheaper and has the better matchup. Now, outside of that, now that we've got the Rams passing attack down, Cooper Kupp's the guy I want exposure to. Now, at least for the wide receiver section of it. Now let's talk on the other side. Let's talk New England. All right, let's talk about who we might be interested in receiving wise for that side. Now, let me go ahead and just put Kupp. Any three of these guys that I lock in, you can use at captain. Okay. All right. So Cooper Kupp, I'm gonna go ahead and put in because he's locked. Whether you like it or not, look at the end of the nobody. Okay, let me correct myself. Nobody is 100% locked on a showdown. You know what I mean? Like, you can play whatever you want to play, right? But when it comes to research and stats-wise, everything is leaning towards Kupp having a great game, okay? And at the end of the day, sometimes you got to think about it like this. If you're not max entering, if you're building just 1, 2, 3 lines, you need to keep in mind, like, look, okay, I can only control what I can control at this point, and stats is what I can control, and Kupp has the best matchup that you can ask for, and he is the guy. At least he should be the guy in this matchup. All right. So, anyways, let's go on the New England side. All right. So we got Demary Byrd and Nikhil Harry on the outside as the perimeter receivers for New England. Let's take a look at their matchups. Byrd is going to be going against Jalen Ramsey. I'm going to say something right now that a lot of you are going to be like, but I don't give a fuck. Okay, Demary Byrd is still in play because he's $800. And he is playing a good amount of snaps in this New England offense. On top of that, Ramsey's not going to shadow him. So when Byrd goes to the other side, when Byrd switches over to the other side of the field and he faces off against Darius Williams, he'll at least have a little bit better of a matchup. But Ramsey and Darius Williams are really good perimeter cornerbacks. But at this point, for a guy who plays as many snaps as Byrd does, at $800, I don't care. I really don't care. You can't expect a guy like Jalen Ramsey to like challenge himself to lock a guy like Byrd down. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Byrd is a guy who could slip between the cracks and get over the top when they're not paying much attention and have a big gainer out of nowhere because he is the deep threat guy that they love. All right? So I wanted to make that clear. 100%. Most of the time, I don't want to pick on Jalen Ramsey at all, and in no way, shape, or form am I trying to do that here with Byrd. But the point being is he's 800. He allows so much in showdown lineups today. He's 800, plays some of the most snaps on this offense. He plays a ton of snaps. Regardless of the matchup, he will be on the field and have the opportunity to get points. And at 800, he doesn't need much to hit value. All right? So I wanted to touch on that. Now, let's talk about who we're interested in for this New England. Okay, so one more point I want to make. With Ramsey predominantly playing on the side of Byrd, I can completely understand if instead of Byrd, okay, but you got to understand there is a price difference here. Okay? Byrd is 800. The other option is Nikhil Harry at 18. Now, let me tell you why that is slick. Because I would not be surprised if Byrd ends up being high owned because he's free, pretty much. But a pivot off of that, if you notice that ownership is going to be high or you're feeling like it's going to be high, pivoting to Nikhil Harry is sneaky because let me explain why. Demary Byrd runs predominant of his routes on the side of Jalen Ramsey, right? Well, Nikhil Harry runs majority of his routes on the side of Darius Williams, as well as running some in the slot. Okay? But Nikhil Harry is 6'2", compared to Darius Williams being 5'9". What does that tell me? On top of that, let me add in the weight too. Darius Williams is 187 pounds, whereas Nikhil Harry is a big-bodied, 228-pound wide receiver. Darius Williams, he's a solid cornerback, but his size alone could get him bodied in the red zone. I would not be surprised to see one thrown up Nikhil Harry's way in the red zone and him get a touchdown here at 1,000 more than Bird. So 100% I am completely down with that. And GPPs for sure. I love Bird too, don't get me wrong. Both of these guys are in play because of their prices alone. Matchup-wise between the two, Harry's got the better matchup solely because he's the bigger dude, and I could see him being a red zone threat. But you also run the threat of Cam Newton running them in every time they get in the red zone. I mean, unfortunately. But with that size difference, I wouldn't be surprised to see Harry get it in the end zone. But, yeah, 800 for Bird, 1,800. When it comes to these two guys, really it comes down to lineup construction. Do you need the money or do you not need the money? That is the question. Both of them are fine in play. If I had to choose who's got a better chance at a touchdown, I'd go Harry just solely on the fact of his size. But he is 1,000 more because of that. You know what I mean? Most likely. Bird is cheap though, and he will still get some catches against Ramsey, even though it's because it's, Ramsey is playing against a Bird. He's not going to challenge himself to shut Bird down. So he's a solid cornerback, obviously, and I don't think Bird's going to go off. But can he hit value? Yes. So Harry and Bird are two guys I'm definitely interested in. For the showdown, I lean GPP. For this showdown, at least, it comes to roster construction at the end of the day, and I'll be honest with you, Bird is the guy that I've had majority of in my first look lineups. But let me take him out, and I'm going to go Harry, just for GPP purposes, because Harry will be the lower owned of the two, if I had to imagine it, because he's 1,000 more, okay? So I'm going to make the bold prediction, Nikhil Harry catches a touchdown over Darius Williams, who is too small. Unless the Rams try to do something slick, and because of that size difference, they put Jalen Ramsey on him. The problem is that's, here's the deal. If you look at it, Nikhil Harry and Jalen Ramsey match up a lot better size-wise. And Demary Bird and Darius Williams are the same size too. So that would make some sense for them to do that. I wouldn't be surprised. But at the end of the day, these guys aren't like big-name guys to really try to worry about. So pay attention to that. Honestly, Harry for GPP, I'm going to go back to Bird. I'm going to go back just because this is the guy I've had most exposure to, so I'm not going to sit here and give you a separate guy. But keep an eye on both those guys, all right? Let's move on. Now, next up, another guy I want to talk about is James White at 6'4". Reason being is because those Rams corners are so damn good. I would not be surprised to see Woods and Reynolds have a tough game and cup him. And sorry, I'm tripping. With the Rams corners being so good, I wouldn't be surprised to see the New England receivers have a toughish game and James White be a guy that benefits a lot here out of the backfield. We know that James White is pretty much a receiver on this New England offense. You got Rex Burkhead out. James White is in a solid spot here at 6'4". Okay, especially if New England falls behind in Los Angeles. I'm really liking James White here in this one at 6'4". So I definitely wanted to mention him because of the fact that these guys are going to have struggles. Now, one New England wide receiver that I'm not expecting to have too much of a struggle and I actually kind of like here is Jacoby Myers. Now, when it comes to the matchups, James White, Jacoby Myers have the great matchups here in this one. Now, in no way, let me take back great, because Jacoby Myers' matchup is not great versus Troy Hill. He's been doing a solid job. He has been the most targeted corner on this Rams secondary, and he has been giving up the most fantasy points per route. But he's not horrible. Like, this whole secondary is solid. Now, but Jacoby Myers is getting targeted 27% of the time. Okay, compared to Bird at 18, Harry at 16. That's another reason I like Bird. Bird is getting targeted 18%, the second highest on this offense, and he's $800. Okay, so let's just move on from that. That's why I like it. Jacoby Myers has been a nice producer. He's been getting targeted heavily. Cam Newton obviously likes him. Jacoby Myers, 6'8", feels like a very good play as well. Now, let's talk running game. Okay? Let's talk about the running game. We have Cam Akers coming back from injury. He practiced fully. He doesn't have an injury designation for Thursday. The problem is you've got Henderson Jr. there. You've got a lot going on there. I haven't had a ton of the running game in this game, to be completely honest with you. The only running back I've had a good bit of is James White in my builds. I haven't had a ton of the run game. Cam Akers is sneaky though, because he is a solid rookie, and he could come out and have a great game here against New England, with New England most likely trying to focus on the pass game being slowed down. Cam Akers is in a great spot. Um, with these guys being so close, I would expect Akers to be the guy that I would prefer. Um, yeah, but the run game on the other side of it, I'm not going to get too much exposure to Harris probably against the Rams. That Rams defensive line is solid. So, period, the run game just doesn't seem too intriguing to me unless you're going for a pass catching running back like James White. I'm not too intrigued with that. So let's go over the cores. Let me put, okay, wait. I have two guys in here, so I got to put a third guy in here. I'm going to go ahead and go with Jared Goff because Cooper Kupp is my favorite play of the slate, so I might as well pair him up with his quarterback. Plain and simple, that's how I feel. Now, at captain, any of these guys can go. You can try some versions out with Bird at captain, okay? You just mess with it. It's a showdown. Okay? A guy like Bird at captain is a type of guy who could get you a takedown if he gets a touchdown, 2 touchdowns because they're not worried about him. You know what I mean? Cash games, safety-wise, Cooper Kupp I love a lot at captain. Jared, so I prefer more of like a Kupp guy. I'm probably not going to go, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm probably not going to go a quarterback at captain. I like Cam Newton too. He's a little banged up, but he's been doing so much with his feet. He's got a solid floor, so I love him in the flex as well for showdowns. But at the end of the day, when it comes to roster construction, Kupp can go in captain. If you want to get cute, Berg can go in captain. If I had to choose between Goff or Cam Newton at captain, I'd probably go Cam solely on the fact he can get you a floor with his feet. Jacoby Myers is a guy who could possibly be captain. James White could possibly be captain. So consider those guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've broken down the slate pretty much in its entirety. We broke down the secondary. We broke that secondary up, looked at it behind the scenes. Hopefully you guys are in a great spot to succeed tonight. Good luck. Remember, when it comes down to somebody in the takedown lineup is going to have Bird or Nikhil Harry in their lineup. Like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bird be extremely chalky at the end of the day because he's only 800 and because he's getting targeted the second most and because he's playing a lot of snaps. If you want to get off of that, your sole purpose is to get off of that and take the chance of having a lower owned version, Nikhil Harry would be your guy. You are spending 1,000 more, but Nikhil Harry would be your guy. And it's a sneaky idea. I'm not saying you need to do it because I do have Bird in the core, but Nikhil Harry, like we talked about, is the much bigger man over Darius Williams. Okay, so Nikhil Harry, I could see him getting some red zone targets here in this one due to his size. So unless the Rams decide to put Ramsey on Nikhil Harry's side because they match up better size-wise, Nikhil Harry should be a good option here. Okay. Now, if they end up running Ramsey on Nikhil Harry because their sizes are more alike, then Bird is going to have a solid. I like Bird even more here. But Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey have both been A1. Okay, in no way. I'd rather pick on Darius, though. If I had to choose one, I would rather pick on Darius than Jalen Ramsey. Plain and simple. But either way, both are in play because they're so cheap. All right, and they open up the floodgates to so many opportunities. Good luck, y'all. I hope you get a takedown. When you do get your takedown, make sure you hit me up at CamATL and let me know. By the way, we're going to be celebrating our takedown tonight, so if you want to come join us at CamATL on Twitter. Thank you guys for joining me as always. GreenlightDFS.com for Week 14. Let's get it. I'm out.